Power throughout northwestern Montana knocked out for thousands due to high winds. Kalispell city leaders learned from the head of development in Denver to apply to their own downtown area. And a donation is boosting the robotics program at Flathead High School.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Don Fisher. Extreme winds throughout the day leading into the night caused a number of power outages for large numbers of people across the Flathead Valley and beyond. The strong winds caused large branches and trees to fall into power lines, cutting the power off for long amounts of time. The outages stretched from Libby to Kalispell to Whitefish, all the way to Glacier National Park. And for over an hour, streetlights leading into Whitefish along Highway 93 were also out, where police had to direct traffic. At one point, over 13,000 people had lost power. In Whitefish, around 6 p.m., downtown regained their power, while other residential neighborhoods remained without power. One Whitefish family had an entire top of a tree crash into their backyard and only missed their house by a mere feet.
Of course, we stock up on food, because you never know. So we could lose, a couple $100 worth of food, but that's all replaceable as long as, we're all fine. But we are looking forward to having some power back soon.
And for Flathead Electric Co-op customers, you can check their website for a map showing current outages. And for the latest conditions out there, which have calmed down quite a bit, let's take it over to Chief Meteorologist Erin Yost for her first forecast. Erin?
Yeah, thankfully our wind advisories and high wind warnings have been lifted. However, things still pretty active out there, a bit to our south and definitely to our east, where we continue with those wind highlights right through midnight tonight. Our peak wind gust at the Kalispell Airport, 56 miles per hour. Now, to go along with the wind, we did see some warmth today, some serious warmth. 72 for the high tide, a daily record high set back in 1974. So at least with the power outages, we weren't freezing. We had that going for us. We are going to see some scattered mountain snow and valley rain here tonight into tomorrow. Beautiful Thursday, but we could do this all over again Friday. The full forecast on the way.
All right, thank you, Erin. As Flathead Electric Co-op and other power companies deal with the scattered outages due to the storm, they are offering tips on how you can help them help you in the event of an outage. Crews are prepared to respond to outages, removing trees and debris and restoring power as quickly as possible, but prolonged interruptions in service are possible depending on the extent of the damages. The FEC is aware of most outages as they happen, but affected members should still call to report them at 406-751-4449, and their dispatch center is staffed 24/7. They'd also like to remind people to never touch or drive over a downed line, but if you do see one, report it right away. Also, please make sure the addresses on your homes and businesses are clearly visible to linemen and emergency responders. In other local news, a Kalispell man who died in a Friday afternoon crash on US Highway 2 has been identified. Flathead County Sheriff Chuck Curry says Jared Jensen of Kalispell died at Kalispell Regional Medical Center as a result of traumatic injuries. Jensen was the driver of a vehicle involved in a two-vehicle head-on crash on Highway 2 near the intersection of Rose Crossing around 2:30 p.m. on Friday. The crash does remain under investigation by the Montana Highway Patrol. And downtown redevelopment has become a key issue for Kalispell city leaders as they look to reform from an industrial-oriented center into a vibrant pedestrian-friendly core. Today, city leaders and stakeholders had the opportunity to gain wisdom from the head of redevelopment of a lower downtown area in Denver, which is considered to be one of the most successful urban renewal examples in the western U.S. MTN's Nicole Miller reports.
Within the next year and a half, downtown Kalispell is on track to see the removal of its train tracks.
For the railroad tracks to come out, the vision for the city is to create that walking trail through that 3 or 3.5 mile section of downtown Kalispell. It's a tremendous urban amenity that will be attractive for merchants, restaurants, and so on to front onto that walking trail. But it's also going to be of a tremendous interest to residential developers.
Looking for direction, city leaders, along with private and public stakeholders, such as downtown property owners, met with the head of Redevelopment Authority in Denver.
Denver undertook a revitalization of our downtown that started over 30 years ago, and we've been relatively successful with that.
Tracy Huggins, Executive Director of the Denver Urban Renewal Authority, led a small group discussion about the challenges, successes, and steps a community can take to promote growth.
One of the things that I think is really key is a strong commitment on the part of the public sector to really define what a plan, what a vision for Kalispell's downtown can and should be. But they can't do that alone. They really need to engage with the private sector, whether that is the property owners, the business owners, the chamber.
It is a long process. It happens in steps, but I think it's important to keep moving forward and help support that progress.
Reporting in Kalispell, Nicole Miller, MTN News.
And those old train tracks are expected to be removed and replaced with the pedestrian trail by 2019. The Flathead Valley High School Tech Club recently received a gift from Endeavor Robotics, a company that is contracted by the U.S. Department of Defense. The robot has taken out over 50,000 bombs since it was created and is now roaming the halls of Flathead High. MTN's Jack Ginsburg shows us how it is helping the kids find inspiration in building their own robots.
The robot is called the PackBot and was built by Endeavor Robotics in 1997. Just some of the many features are LED lights, a gripper that can open a door, pick up objects, or pull wires, and 4 separate cameras with infrared technology. The robot has been used all over the world to help defuse various kinds of bombs.
They use it extensively in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then a lot of local police bomb squads also use that in taking care of suspect packages, IEDs, pipe bombs here in the homeland as well.
It has recently been loaned to Flathead High's Tech Club in hopes of getting students to realize how important robotics can be.
Really, we wanted people to understand how important robotics was and hopefully inspire the school to create a full-up robotics class instead of just being a after-school club.
And that is exactly what it is doing.
It will definitely inspire us. I mean, I've been inspired by it. I know, that's kind of like an end goal, I guess, is what you could say.
Vocational teacher and leader of the Tech Club, Ben Butts, says they cannot build more on the robot or look into its code, but it will still be helpful for the club.
It is just kind of cool that companies out there want to participate in school events as well.
Butts echoed Herndon's hopes that the club will ultimately become a class, but is happy with where they are right now.
I hope that one day it will transition into more than a club and be part of our curriculum here at Flathead. But that's down the line. As long as we're making strides towards that, I'm happy with what we're doing.
In Kalispell, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
And the Robotics Club is building its own robot that will be featured in a competition later in February. Switching to statewide news, biologists tell a University of Montana audience there are enough grizzly bears now to take them off the list of threatened species, but they say there's no formal move to do so. That assessment came today as the University of Montana hosted a panel discussion about the future of the Northern Rockies grizzlies. Now that bears are delisted in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, attention is turned to the grizzlies in the Northern Continental Divide ecosystem, including the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex and Glacier National Park. And with estimated more than 1,000 bears in the NCDE, there's anticipation but no formal proposal to remove their protection.
And the NCDE population is recovered. They both met their recovery goals, and the Yellowstone population was delisted in 2017. There is no proposal yet to delist the NCDE population. So that process hasn't even started yet.
And the numbers are encouraging. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Park researchers say 95% of the sow grizzlies are surviving now, and the deaths caused by confrontations between bears and people are well within limits. And the agency says the success is due in large part to people changing old habits.
We were just kind of irresponsible with the population, and people didn't really have to think about what they did in the backcountry. They didn't have to think about keeping their food put away. They didn't have to think about whether or not that ended up making a bear food conditioned and bringing about its mortality.
And Costello says FWP has plenty of experience to take over grizzly management if the Northern Continental Divide bears are delisted in the future. The University of Montana says they have extended voluntary severance offers for eligible non-faculty employees in its ongoing effort to reduce personnel costs. In a press release, President Sheila Stearns says the university must reduce the percentage of the budget on personnel. Stearns says this severance offer is another strategy aimed at the goal and may reduce the number of involuntary reduction may be forced to make to align their personnel expenses. The university also is in the midst of a program prioritization effect that Stearns said will further inform the overhaul of academic programming and administrative service offered at the institution. The voluntary severance offer will be detailed in campus meetings tomorrow at 11 a.m. and noon in the University Center Theater. Missoula businesses are working with Missoula International Airport to get direct service from Texas. Destination Missoula, along with other businesses and tourism groups, are teaming up for Take Flight Missoula, an effort to match the Department of Transportation's $600,000 worth of incentives for direct flights from Texas. The program requires Missoula to raise a match of $400,000. Missoula Airport Director Chris Jensen says it's often a slow process, taking several years to finalize a partnership and getting service going. However, a good grassroots effort can persuade airlines to start new flights, providing the passengers are ready.
That grants specifically targets air service to Texas, so likely Houston or Dallas, which would be American Airlines or United Airlines. So we're in the process of meeting with both of those airlines. We've been meeting with them for a number of years, in fact.
And the Missoula International Airport is planning a $42 million expansion of its terminal to make room for an increase of passengers over the next several years. And coming up after the break, Aaron will be back with your forecast for the rest of the week. And later, the Montana Highway Patrol is cracking down on organized crimes going through Montana's roadways. Find out how coming up on KAJ.